Well folks, the time is upon us to start work on this 1985 Ford Fiesta that I got in part exchange for a Beetle that I did up previously on my channel. Well, this has been sitting in the background for a little while without getting any attention, so now's the time to change all that. Let's get stuck in. I'm going to be honest, I'm actually really excited to get going on this project. It's a really cool little car. I have actually kind of really come around to the whole Ford Fiesta thing, just even with it sitting in the garage, you know, sitting in the driver's seat. I just keep thinking to myself, this is a cool little motor. So yeah, now obviously it's looking a bit sorry for itself at the moment. It does run and drive, but just not very well. So mechanically it's going to need a bit of attention as well. And we are going to get to that. But I'm going to do this job differently than I've done in previous jobs. And we're going to tackle the bodywork first. First things first, there's a bit of welding to be done. So that's what we're going to tackle in this episode. First things first, let's get it up on the ramp and have a look underneath. So things underneath this car are all about surface rust, and really there isn't anything major that needs to be worried about. You can see here, for example, that's all that just rubs off. And what we're going to do is we're going to retreat that and get it all taken care of. I'll probably drop the fuel tank out of it as well, just to address any possible corrosion in the floor pans and stuff like that above that. There definitely has been a bit of sketchiness been done in the past here. Oh, there again, maybe that's the way it is from the factory. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not bad. It really isn't. Things like, I suppose, you look at the axle tubes, this type of thing here, for example, that's all, again, surface corrosion. A wire wheel will be used there to take care of that. But the one area of concern that we do need to tackle, and this is where the welding needs to happen, is along here. And you can see here, previous owner has cut out some metal already, and along the bottom of the sill on the passenger side, which is the left side for this car, and left a big gaping hole. So we need to address that. So as I said, the hard part has actually been done here. Really all we need to do is make up some repair sections, and I'm going to do it piece by piece. And basically, yeah, I mean, we can cut out that last little bit there as well, grind off this kind of stuff here, and generally kind of try and get that all prepped. But yeah, I mean, like that's okay. It looks a bit bogey, but it's solid. Okay, so now that I have everything ground back here and I've kind of got a straighter edge along there to work to, I'm going to make up a couple of cardboard templates. So we're going to just use this piece of cardboard that I prepared earlier, which has the return on it that I want. And we're going to literally just go, I'm not going to deal with this little mess going on over here first of all. We're just going to kind of deal with the bigger sections, and I'm just going to run my thumb along there. And that has given us our little edge that we need to work to. So I'm actually going to cut that out, and that will give us our let's see how close that gets to the rest of the car. See, we might be able to use this right the way along. Yeah, I think we can actually, you know that? Yeah, that should do the trick. Okay, so let's cut this out, and then we will measure out how many pieces we actually need to cut out, and we'll get them cut out on a piece of 1.2 mil steel that I have, which is a little bit thicker than what the car is actually made of, but that's all right. At least it's going to be a bit stronger if anything. Right, so there is our cardboard template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this into steel, and we're going to put our little return on it as well, and we're going to start getting some welding done. Okay, so we are just going to flatten this metal out a little bit, first of all. Now, just using the scriber to mark everything out. Okay, now, next thing to do is to cut that out. And there's our first piece cut, so now we need to bend it. And that could be interesting now to see how easy this stuff is to bend. I might actually just put a score line on it with the grinder just to make life easier, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so here is our piece made up. Now all we need to do is fold it along that scored mark that I made with the grinder. It's just a really very light scratch, which is just going to help us to fold it at that point. The other option would have been to make it in 2 pieces, but I didn't want to go down that route because it gets into a whole load of welding that we could really avoid at this stage. And by the way, don't worry, for any of you concerned, the young lad is staying well away from me when I'm using the grinder or when I'm going to be using the welder and that. But yeah, so I don't have a sheet metal folder or anything like that. All I'm going to be doing is using my bench vise to fold this. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I have it in the vise, and you can see now straight away that just having put that little score line in, which is very, very light, is just enough to help me get a start on this. And you just have to be gradual. Just work your way back and forth. And then we're going to start helping it along the way with the hammer. Now, there we go. Right, so there is our profiled piece. Let's offer it up to the car and see how we're looking. Okay, so now if we put this here like so, it's a bit big, but nothing we can't trim down to suit now at this stage. So at least we have our profile along here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a few little adjustments on that, and then that will allow us to fit the piece in where it needs to be. And then what we're going to do is drill some holes along here, and I'm going to puddle weld through here into the existing sill because I don't want to do a continuous seam weld along the bottom of it. Okay, so now we're going to just do a bit of eyeball engineering here and scribe a line along there. There's just a little bit we need to remove, and we can do that with the grinder. Straightforward enough. I'll get that done and we'll put it back into position. Right, so now let's offer this up and see how we're looking. Not bad at all. Okay, great stuff. So now what we need to do is just pare back some of the metal here just so we can get a clean weld. And we need to drill our holes along here. I don't really know how many holes we should be drilling for spot welding, but yeah, I suppose we'll figure that out. I'm just going to run the grinder down along there anyway, first of all, and get that tidied up, and then we can figure that bit out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray everything down here with some weld-through primer, and that will give us a fighting chance on actually keeping the corrosion at bay for a little while longer. So we'll give that a good coat and let that dry, and in the meantime what I can be doing is prepping the other piece to go in, and then when it's all done and dusted there will be a couple of holes left where we can kind of shoot a load of schmoo into the sills and that as well, and make sure that all my hard work is not undone by the Irish weather. Okay, so we have our weld through primer on and the holes are drilled in the piece of metal here. So now I can give this a little bit of a wiggle here as well, and I'll be able to line up that bottom section, and then we will be able to get a weld along there and then plug weld these holes. Now I did a bit of reading, and about 6 to 8 centimeters spaced for the plug welds, it seems to be about the going rate. So we'll stick with that, and now first things first, let's get a weld along there. Okay, it's not a professional standard of welding job by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like when I got down to this end I started to remember how to do it. But yeah, anyway, the puddle welds are all done and everything there too, so next thing to do is to get the flap disc at that and see how it's looking, and yeah, obviously to be a layer of seam sealer and all that over it as well when I'm finished. You know what, that is not bad at all. I'm very happy with that. So now all I need to do is do that maybe another 3 times, I suppose. tidy up these little bits and pieces here as well, and then address this previous bogie repair that's been done by the last owner, and try and figure out what needs to be done with that. It's not that bogie, in fairness, it's a piece of metal, it's not filler, but it's not finished, so it does need to be finished, obviously. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I know it's not perfect, but listen, perfection is the enemy of completion here, so we're gonna keep going, keep ploughing ahead, and I'll get another piece there. I'd say, yeah, another 3 pieces will get the bulk of that done, and then that's our sill closed in, and then we can kind of start finishing all the other bits off. And here we are the following day. Off camera, I've got a bit more done, and I have this whole section in as well, so we are looking pretty decent. I'm actually very happy with that repair now, to be honest with you. It's not perfect, but as I said to you earlier on, perfection is the enemy of completion. So we're getting it done, and it's metal going in and not bloody expanding foam, which is what some people seem to think sills are supposed to be made of. So that is all good. So now we need to go as far as this part here, and I need to try and figure out what's going on with that. I'm not fully sure. I think that this is supposed to be actually attached to this. So what we might end up doing is drilling a couple of holes in the piece that we put there, and puddle welding onto that as well, because it seems to be some sort of a support structure. And also there's a bit of rust there as well that we're going to have to attack too. So yeah, there's that. And then down the far end, we have this notch here where there was a hole. So yeah, I mean, look, it's not great, but we will get the better of it. And then I have to finish off what was going on here at the back. So I'm going to have to drill a couple of holes in this lad here, and we're going to puddle weld that. I'll grind all that shite out there. And we will, the dust in here is unreal. We'll be able to puddle weld that onto the sills, and that should be the job there on that. So yeah, let's crack on. More progress has been made. I have this piece in here now, and you've seen that bit there, and we have all of this up as far as here done. So you can see here the little rectangular piece that was missing there. I've patched that. Unfortunately, it's not the nicest of jobs, but it's fine, and once there's a skim of filler over that, nobody will be any the wiser. And that is welded onto the kind of a support piece inside as well. I just drilled 3 holes, and I was able to kind of puddle weld them. So that's all done. I have tacked this bit here on all the way along as well. So that'll do fine. A little bit of dressing up still to do as well, but yeah, it's not bad at all. And then last section that needs to be tackled is this bit up the front. So I need to crack on and get that done. And then once I have that done, then that's basically all the welding done in this car. Truth be known, in the past I really haven't enjoyed doing bodywork and welding and stuff like that, but I'm actually enjoying this one because one of the things that I have found is that my welding skills have improved a lot, and that's definitely making things a lot easier. I've also got the space and the light and everything like that to do it, and also I have converted my MIG welder to use gas instead of the gasless crap, which I just couldn't get a decent weld out of the gasless wire, whereas that is absolutely fine for the purposes of this exercise. So I am, I'm getting a bit out of it, to be honest with you, as far as enjoyment is concerned, and it's very satisfying work. It's kind of arts and crafts, if you know what I mean, cutting bits out, sticking them together and painting them and all that jazz. So yeah, but last bit to do is that bit up the front, as I've shown you, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start getting stuck into removing all the trim from the car. Now, I won't be removing the glass. This is going to be a glass in paint job. I will be keeping it the same colour, and basically the intention is to spruce this car up, get it all under sealed and everything as well. I'm going to tackle all of the surface rust and everything there, and get cavity wax into it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get it mechanically sorted and get it through the NCT and all that too. So I actually want to keep this car for a little while. It is a flipper, but the intention is to maybe drive it for a few months before I send it on, and then replace it with something else that's interesting. So we'll see what happens there. But anyway, more to do. Enough waffle from me. Let's crack on. Another couple of days later, and we are this far along. We're at the point of getting the forward section sorted out. Now I have a little repair piece made up here with curves and everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick that in there and get it welded up. You get the idea. And then we're going to plate in the bottom of it there, and then try and get a little infill piece for the corner there as well, because that was gone as well. So yeah, Bit still to do. Once that's all done, then we can start stripping the car off. And there we go, another piece of rusty metal replaced with solid metal. So, last bit to do is this little piece underneath here, which shouldn't be too much of an ordeal. We're going to get that in, and then that's all the welding done. One of the big things I'm doing here is using this car as a training ground for me to learn how to do some proper bodywork, because the MG is going to need some bodywork over the next little while. The sills are fairly rotten on it, and the rear arches as well. Now the difference with that car is I'm going to be using repair panels. So repair panels are obviously more straightforward because you don't have to do all the forming and cutting and all that kind of thing that you do when you're actually doing a patchwork job like what I'm doing here. Now I'm doing it piece by piece because of the fact that trying to actually get a single piece made up that's actually just going to fit in and look right without warping panels around it and all that, it's just too much of a challenge for me at this point in time. Whereas at least this way we're getting the solid metal in, it's the rust is gone, so I think the end will justify the means in that regard. And yeah, it's not a professional job, but as I said, it's solid, and the more I do on this, the better I feel I'm even getting, and I'm building up the confidence to then tackle the MG. So I'm going to be buying repair panels. I'll probably be doing that maybe over the winter. Not 100% sure, but time will tell. And there we have it. The welding is complete, and you can see there the difference between how my welding is looking now versus when I started. Even if I did have to go hand-to-hand combat with the wire feed mechanism in my bloody welding plant. But it's grand now anyway, and I'm pretty happy with how that shaped up. So if you look all the way along there, it is solid metal. So happy days. Obviously I'm going to use seam sealer on it all, and there's going to be stone chip paint down there, so you're really not going to see any of that, to be honest. So it was definitely a great place to kind of get started on this car. There isn't any welding to be done anywhere else. In actual fact, it's a very solid little car. So and all the more solid now having finished that. So yeah. I'm really happy with how that's shaped up. I'm quite proud of my workmanship on that, actually. I know it's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be like that. And here we are with the job completed and seam sealer applied and everything as well. So that is brilliant. I'm really happy with how that turned out. So that is, yeah, that's the job done. Okay, there might be one or two other little bits of welding needing doing on the car, but look, if that's the worst of it, then we're not doing too badly. That's pretty straightforward stuff to take care of. And I think this is a good jumping off point for this video. So what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to start stripping the car down and taking things like the glass out and taking all the panels off and everything like that as well, like the trim pieces, and prepping it for paint. And we're going to start sanding it back and getting ready to paint. And we'll also make our shopping list as well, see what we actually need. So I hope you'll join me for that. Please hit the subscribe button before you go, and the little bell beside it will give you a notification when the next video is out. And yeah, I'll see you in a future video. Thank you very much for watching.